In this video, I'm challenging myself to recreate a viral video game using Python. For this challenge, I'll have exactly 7 days to get the game running. If I fail, all my subs have to unsubscribe. You know, now that I think about it, that's not too bad. Let's get right into day 1. Alright guys, so for day 1, I have several things planned, but the very first thing we need to do is actually install Pygame. So I'm going to go ahead and use pip to install Pygame onto my device, so onto my Mac. We're going to go ahead and get that running, and then once we get that running, the next thing I want to do on day 1 is actually set up the game window. So get actually the window up and running on our computer. Alright guys, so as expected, on day 1 we already have an error going. As you guys can see, it says failed building a wheel for the Pygame. So I'm going to go ahead and go online, go on Stack Overflow, see if I can fix this. Let's get this going. There we go. Alright, we're going to go ahead and first create a game window. So that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do here. Alright guys, so right now we just made the window. It's completely black, but we have the window over here, and for some reason, I don't know why, but we're getting these two errors. Module Pygame has no init member, and then Module Pygame has no quit member. It's still working as far as it seems, but besides that, I mean, that's kind of the error here, is just this. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to change the title of the program and then also change the background color as well. So let's get started into that. Alright, and as you guys can see, Color Run is now going to be the name of our game. That's what I came up with, Color Run. Hopefully this works pretty cool. Okay, at this point, I want to get the, I guess, enemies or the colors here that we can match. We'll have our main player, and then we'll also have the different colors that we can match to. So I think I'm going to have about 5 possible colors, and I'll get those right now. Alright, so we're into a weird problem where basically if I run the program in Visual Studio Code, it doesn't load. It says pygame.error. But if I run it in Hyper, so if I go ahead and run this, as you guys can see, the window loads, and then we have the dot here. So that was the end of day 1. Day 2, we're going to add all the other colors, and then we're going to get into a bunch more stuff, get them started moving, and add the player as well. Let's get into it. So I was not able to get started until 10:30 p.m. today, so let's see how much I can get done today, but let's share the goals we got for today first. So today I want to add in all the other different colored shapes. I also want to make sure that we can have them start moving, so to get the movement started, and then maybe add our main player as well. So let's get started in day 2. So this is exactly where we left off. As you guys can see, we just have one square, there's no movement. We're going to add in the 5 other squares now. Alright guys, so we got it running, and as you guys can see, we have 5 blocks spanning from the left side all the way to the right side. That's awesome. Now we're going to start getting them moving down the screen like so, and then we're going to add in a player as well. Okay, so now you guys will see that the blocks are moving from top to bottom, as you guys can see, and now I need to add the player. Alright guys, so right over here we have basically these if events going on here to see if I press the left arrow key or the right arrow key and when it goes back up. So if I click play, it should print it down here in the bottom left corner. So as you guys can see, there we go. When I put it down, there we go. So it's printing. So this is working. Now we're going to involve this with actually moving the white square. Whew! Alright, so we finally got this last part, and I'm pretty excited about it. So check it out. We got the player movement down, and that's going to be right over here. So player X, player over here, and then finally these if statements basically allow the player to move exactly 108 pixels to the left or to the right, which is exactly the diameter of the squares. So if we click play over here, you'll see the squares are moving down, and I can move exactly 108 pixels in any direction that we want. So at this point, what's going to happen is I'm actually going to stop for day 2. This is all I'm doing for day 2. And tomorrow, day 3, we'll start heading with the boundaries on the walls and actually maybe getting points for every time you get the right color. So that's for day 3. Here it is, day 3. So today we are doing 4 super important things. So the first one is the border system. I don't want the player to be able to go out of the left or the right side of the screen. That's kind of important. The second one is a change of color. Every time we start the new window, I want the player to be a different color. The third thing I'm going to work on is basically the blocks coming from the top all the way to the bottom, and then once they reach the bottom, they'll go back from the top and just sort of repeat that same thing. And then the fourth and final thing we're working on day 3 is going to be the random assortment of color blocks. So it's going to be a random, pattern every single time they load and go from top to bottom. So let's get started to the very first one, the border system. So the border system was pretty easy. All I had to do was change some requirements for the if statements for when I click the left and right arrow keys. So that was pretty easy to get done. So next we have the random color of the player every time we start up the game. So this wasn't too bad. Right up here I actually have a tab called miscellaneous because this is sort of things that don't really go well with anything else. And over here I made a list of all the possible colors the player could be. Once I made this list, what I did is I basically used the random module to choose a random color choice, so random of one of these, and then place it here for the path of the player. So if we start this up, we'll see that the player is now going to be a random color. So in this case, it's red. If we restart, in this case, it's going to be another random color. So let's see what it is here. It's going to be green. So now that we got that second one, the third thing we want to get done on day 3 is getting the blocks to respawn at the top of the window once they reach the very bottom. And just like that, with this very cool and cheeky piece of code, I get all the blocks to restart at the very top once they get bigger than 960 pixels, which is the very bottom of our window. So if I play this, we're going to go ahead and see that once the blocks reach the bottom, as you guys can see, once they reach the bottom, they're going to respawn from the top. So now this brings us to the question, we need them to be randomly generated once they respawn like this. So that is the very next thing we're going to do. So what I did to make the color blocks randomly in different patterns is first I made in the miscellaneous part, I made a list of the X coordinates for where the blocks are. So 0, 108, 216, 324, and 432. And right down here in the if statement I made for when the blocks reach the very bottom of the screen, I added over here for the X coordinates to randomly assign to get colors. And just like that, it chooses a random pattern of these 5 different elements in that list. So if we click play, you guys will see that we have the random color of the player, which is blue, and now we have the random assortment. It's going to respawn. Blue's over here now, and now blue's over here. So it's going to randomly respawn as it goes and reaches the very bottom. So that's it for day 3. I'm super excited for day 4 because day 4 is when we're going to get started in collisions, and I think that is going to be one of the best parts of this entire challenge. Day 4 is pretty exciting because I gotta say, I think I'm gonna get everything done today. So today, the things I'm gonna try to get done are 1, I have to change the player function into a class in order to change the image of the player. So the second thing we have to do is if the colors come down and the player doesn't get to the right block in time, the game should end. So running should equal false. And then the third thing is I want to show the score. So every time he does get it correctly, I want the score to increase by 1. Finally, I want to add speed at the very end. So first, let's get started with changing that function into an actual class. So now that we've created this class, what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the very bottom and replace the player movement wherever it is. Where is it? Right over here. We're going to replace this player movement with a call to the function or to the class. All right, so that's done. Let's go ahead and try this and see if it changes colors. So we start it, it's green. Let's see if it changes afterwards. Yes, it changes to yellow. Now the reason it changes to yellow is because if we go down to this if statement all the way down here. So basically, if red y equals 960, which is basically the very bottom of the frame, a bunch of stuff are going to happen. And including the stuff that happens is random color is going to choose, again, a random color from the list of random colors we have available. So red, green, yellow, blue, and orange, all right? So that's why we're able to change colors. Now we got to do that if the player doesn't navigate to the right color, the game ends, so it stops running. This also isn't too bad, but we're going to need to figure this out. Alright, now that we typed up all the collision things we need to know, let's see if this actually works. We're going to click play. This is the moment of truth. Let's see. So it's yellow. So first, let's see if it doesn't quit if I get on yellow. Now this is blue. Let's not go on blue. And there we go. It quits. So we got collision down. Now I want to add a score every time that I get the right one. So let's do that right now real quick. Alright guys, so we got this working, and now let's get the score. And you guys, I think, will like this. It's very plain, but I like the feel of it. It just feels very natural for this kind of game. Very simple. As you guys can see, the score goes up 1 every time that I go ahead and, you know, get one correct. So as you guys can see, we have yellow over here, and then we have yellow again. The score is going to go up to 5. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to go ahead and add speed, because right now it's super easy. It's not going very fast. We're gonna add speed. So but adding speed is pretty easy, and I already worked on this, but I had gotten it commented out. So right over here, if I delete these comments, speed change is gonna be 1. Actually, let's make this 3 so it's noticeable. So every time the blocks go down to the bottom, the speed's gonna increase by 3. So right now it's starting at 5, and as you guys can see, it's already faster, and now it's even faster, and now it's faster. So I am glad to say that we finished the game not in 7 days, but in 4 days. So it only took us 4 days to do this challenge, which I'm super happy about. I'm kind of impressed that I managed to get it in 4 days and not 7. But anyways, guys, make sure to check out this playlist right over here, because this is more Python stuff that I've worked on that I think you guys will enjoy. And see you guys in another video. Peace out.